Continuing from the previous episode 900. Fen Tian and his party left the 5th floor of the underground palace and headed for the 6th floor, but they did not know that their whereabouts had already been calculated by King Xuanling. However, King Xuanling had other plans in mind. If he could kill his father with the help of the people in the burning incense pavilion, the entire Xuanling royal family would be dominated by him. Otherwise his father would not die in a day. Then the Xuanling king would be hindered everywhere from doing something. Leaving the 5th floor of the underground palace, with Ling Mingsheng's lover Zan Muqing, Ling Mingsheng was in a very happy mood along the way. He made Zan Muqing laugh from time to time, and everyone could see that Zan Muqing was important to him. The 6th floor of the underground palace is also strange. The crowd slowly came to the entrance of the 6th floor of the underground palace through the stairs leading to the 6th floor. This entrance is different from other entrances. Most of the other entrances are doors of light. Behind the doors of light are other special spaces. The entrance to the 6th floor of the underground palace is an ordinary wooden door. The wooden door is extremely ordinary, as if it has no power at all. There won't be an ambush, right? Seeing this, Mu Shuji couldn't help but said. As we all know, the mystery in the underground palace is widely rumored, and it is said that the deeper the underground palace, the richer the treasure, so now that we have reached the 6th floor, it is inevitable to be a little worried. It should be fine, Zan Muqing said slightly. On the 6th floor of this underground palace, I had occasionally heard Xuanian and the other 2 brothers say that it seemed that there was something very important to Xuanling King kept there. Be careful, if the information is accurate, Yan Kai should be on the 7th floor, so neither Zhu Jin nor I can take action on the 6th floor, otherwise our strength will attract other immortal warriors. The plan will have an impact, and things will be troublesome at that time. Fen Tian heard the words, first sensed it, and then said directly. Yep, leave this 6th floor to us. After hearing this, Ling Mingsheng nodded secretly. The knot in his heart opened, both his Xinxing and strength were greatly improved, and even Reimu Sheng had a hunch that Banxian was not far away from him. The 7 of them, excluding Fen Tian and Zhu Jin, the strength of the other 5, except for Mu Shuji, is still in the 8-star Dou Emperor consummation. And Ling Mingsheng is even more powerful at the peak of Dou Di, so naturally everyone is not afraid of the 6th floor of this underground palace. With such a huge lineup, it would be ridiculous if even a small underground palace could not pass the 6th floor. Come in. After a while, Ling Mingsheng said something and then everyone slowly moved forward. Squeak. With a sound, Ling Mingsheng took the lead. Fen Tian and Zhu Jin hid their breath at the end, and then everyone opened the wooden door and stepped in gently. Shabu shabu. The wooden door was gently pushed open, and it was an indescribable terrifying suction that directly sucked everyone into it. Everyone saw that, whether they were busy or not, they looked at each other, and then went away by the mysterious attraction, because they also knew that in the underground palace, each floor was an independent space, and this entrance was only a source of extradition. At this time, in the 6th floor of the underground palace, there is a different appearance. Hee, I don't know who's here. At this moment, above a tree in the sky, a sleepy old man slowly opened his pupils and said. The old man was dressed in a dark blue roe deer, the eyebrows between his brows were actually white, and even his hair was white. However, when the old man opened his pupils, a dark green slowly appeared in the pupil, and with the appearance of this strange dark green, the surrounding vegetation and leaves also became loose, and there was a very cheerful vibration. The old man was located on the top of the canopy of the big tree in the sky. 3 feet away from the old man, a lush green tree that was no more than 10 feet tall slowly appeared. It looks like a small tree, but it is not, because above the canopy, even above the leaves, a mysterious green power that is refreshing and pleasant slowly lingers. If Xiao Yan were here, he would have discovered that this sapling-like thing was the mother of the legendary fairy Bodhi tree. It is said to have the power to heal the soul and restore the peak power. What a dense forest! Ling Mingsheng and his party had just stepped into the 6th floor of the underground palace, and they immediately saw a huge forest. In the forest, there are all kinds of trees, and there seem to be many monsters, which adds a lot of mystery to this forest. What is that? Qing Lao looked up, but his voice was full of disbelief. Just looking up, I suddenly saw a towering tree in the sky standing in front of me. If it is said that this is a forest, I am afraid that the countless trees here are all paving the way for that towering tree. The Tungtian tree? Zan Mu couldn't help muttering when he saw this. Xuan Muqing's current strength is also at the level of an 8-star Dou D, but what he knows about the underground palace is only the first 3 floors. As for the secrets behind the underground palace, King Xuanling didn't tell her. There is a strong aura in there, Fen Tian said in a deep voice. Not a weak breath? When the old man heard the words, his eyes narrowed slightly. Fen Tian's current strength is at the early stage of the 2-star Dou Xian. If he can say that, I am afraid that the powerhouses in there are at the lowest level of half-immortal or even Dou Xian level. Pavilion Master, you and Zhu Jin should avoid first, otherwise the 7th floor of the underground palace will depend on you. Ling Mengsheng suddenly turned his head and said, That's what I mean, Fen Tian said, and immediately disappeared in front of the crowd with Zhu Jin. Everyone knew that this was clearly Zhu Jin's use of a formation to temporarily mix the two's breath with the others. The figure was hidden, but Fen Tian and Zhu Jin were still by their side. I, Qing Lao, the 2 old people in the world and the 4 of them deal with that guy. As for Brother Mu, Ling, I will leave it to you. After Ling Mengsheng finished his instructions, he turned his head and smiled at Zan Mu. On top of that smile, there was no commander's prestige. You have always been a knot in his heart, and now his knot is over, and his strength and character are back. This guy is the strongest person except our pavilion master. Mu Shuji slowly came to Zan Muqing's side and smiled. Trouble. Zan Muqing heard the words and smiled slowly at Mu Shuji. Mu Zuzi's strength is only the 8-star Dou Emperor consummation, but Zan Muqing has a feeling that it seems that the 2 brothers who protected him before joining forces with Xuanian reasons may not be able to beat Mu Shuji, and such a strong man is actually the weakest of the bunch. Set off. I haven't had blood boil for many years. After Ling Mengsheng finished everything, he slowly led the other 3 towards the big tree in the sky. As for Mu Xuan Muqing and Fen Tian's group, they followed in secret. 20 today. I just watched it, but I couldn't post it in a row, so at 12 o'clock the first chapter, and then a chapter every 3 minutes, at 1 o'clock, all the 20 updates will be sent. End of this chapter. Continuing from the previous episode 901. It's strange. When we first came here, the trees here were relatively fragile, but as we went deeper and deeper, the trees here seemed to become rough and stronger. The 4 of Ling Mengsheng slowly walking towards the giant tree in the sky in the middle of the forest. On the way, the old man suddenly said. And above these trees, it seems to contain extremely strong power. A careful sense, that strength is actually comparable to the powerhouse of a 1-star Dou D. Tian Lao also stopped and then spoke. I noticed that too. The trees here don't seem to be so simple, otherwise they wouldn't be left to the 6th floor of the underground palace. Ling Mengsheng naturally noticed this unusual scene, but he didn't care too much. If some 1-star Dou Emperor level trees come to life, they probably won't cause much damage to themselves, and their purpose of this trip is naturally not here, so they can't waste time here. Ignore this for now. Let's find the Guardian and talk about it first. After all, the 7th floor is in sight. Ling Mengsheng shook his head and said, Go. The 4 strong men looked at each other, and then the speed skyrocketed, and they went directly to the big tree in the sky. Mu Shuji, on the other hand, is protecting Zan Muqing with due diligence. As for Fen Tian and the others, they are hiding in the dark. If Ling Mengsheng and the others encounter something that cannot be solved, they will take action. It's here. Not long after, the 4 strong men came directly under the big tree in the sky. The root of this tree is nearly 100 meters thick. The age of this tree is probably over 1,000 years. Qing Lao couldn't help but say, all things in the world have spirits. If this giant tree in the sky condenses spiritual wisdom, I am afraid it is also a strong person. But unfortunately, although the tree in front of me is full of spirituality, it has no spirituality. After all, it is extremely difficult for magical beasts to cultivate spiritual wisdom, and it is undoubtedly more difficult for such creatures with lower trees and weeds to condense spiritual wisdom. This tree has huge roots and stems, but you didn't find it. There is a vague circle of invisible power around the tree, which is obviously isolating something. At this time, the old man said, the 2 elders of heaven and earth are a husband and wife. The elders of heaven and earth are strong and tyrannical, and the elders of earth are virtuous. The 2 of them join forces. I am afraid that the pinnacle of Dou D and even a half-immortal powerhouse will have the power to fight. Invisible power? Sheng was extremely insensitive to these things, so he didn't find it. Xiao Meng, you inject your power of life and death into the trees, and you will know. The old man said slowly. With Di Lao's age and seniority, it's not too much to call himself a little dream. And, seeing the old man so serious, Ling Mengsheng didn't hesitate at all. His mind moved, and the huge power of life and death immediately gathered in his hands. At this time, on Sheng's palm, a force of life and death that constantly intertwined black and white beating slowly. As for the destructive power of fear, I am afraid that the powerhouses at the peak of Dou Di would be killed instantly. Go, Ling Mengsheng said lightly, and suddenly the huge force of life and death in his palm gently moved towards the rhizome of the giant tree in the sky. Bang bang bang, when the dazzling power of life and death just touched 1 meter of the giant tree in the sky, suddenly, in front of everyone, a dazzling green light flashed instantly, and then Ling Mengsheng's seemingly terrifying attack flew out instantly. Out of Reimu's control, flew upside down and exploded suddenly in a certain place in the forest. It's really weird. At this time, Ling Mengsheng and Qing Lao suddenly became vigilant. This giant tree in the sky was not as simple as they thought. This should be the self-protection consciousness of the ancient tree. After all, this tree absorbs the greatest power in this space, so it is not surprising that it has this effect. Di Lao Tanshu said, Old Di, how to solve it now? Ling Mengsheng asked. Obviously the reason why Di Lao opened his mouth was because he had a way to deal with this kind of thing. If this green defense is not resolved, I am afraid that they will not be able to enter the ancient tree. The guardian should be at the top of the ancient tree. If they do not use the ancient tree to climb up, I am afraid that they will not be able to break through the 6th floor of the underground palace until they die. This is simple. Old man, look at us. Di Lao said something and then said to Tian Lao. Quick fight, quick decision. Tian Lao responded in a deep voice, and then the two of them interlocked their left fingers, and even their breaths merged together. Boom boom boom. The two of them interlocked their fingers, but they didn't do anything strange. It was just that on the one hand, the two of them interlaced their fingers with their left hands, while their right hand gently touched the ancient tree. Green ban, shabu shabu. I don't know what the two elders of heaven and earth are doing, but everyone saw that a green energy gushed out from the two of them, and then it was exactly the same as the green energy of the ancient tree, and then circles of invisible ripples spread out in an instant. After a while, the mysterious restriction on the ancient tree disappeared without a trace. And when the mysterious prohibition disappeared, a circle of green energy fluctuations, like ripples, centered on the ancient tree, spread out towards the entire forest. At the top of the ancient tree, the mysterious old man jokingly said, the 4 9-star fighting emperors. When I promised King Xuanling to guard things here, I wanted to devour it secretly, but where did I think that King Xuanling was so cunning? The guy from King Xuanling probably already knew that the mother of this fairy Bodhi tree is not so easy to swallow. It's really a miscalculation. I've been thinking about it here for so many years. I'm finally here today, and this time, I want you all to know my name, Dong Zan. The white-haired old man said with a grin, but he was covered in ups and downs. The breath revealed is undoubtedly a real fighting immortal powerhouse. It's untied, the two old men said in unison. The two seniors are really good tricks. The old man was naturally delighted when he heard the words, but it was not surprising that the two old men of heaven and earth could unravel this thing. After all, the power of the two is special, and it is better for this kind of sidetracking. Let's go. Ling Mengsheng nodded, then raised his eyes and stared at the top of the ancient tree. Where, there seems to be an extremely tyrannical aura, and Ling Mengsheng seems to know that that guy should be the guardian of the 6th floor of the underground palace, and he has been waiting for them for a long time. Be careful, if the situation is not right. Just retreat. Don't worry, there are two of us old guys. Zhu Jin hurriedly said to Sheng. Don't worry, I won't be able to do it. After all, I am also someone with a family. After finishing the last word, he stepped directly into the ancient tree, and the last word was deliberately prolonged, apparently for Xuanmu to listen to. This guy, he has always wanted to be brave. However, if this time Zan Santian's affair ends, let him accompany me to live in seclusion and live a comfortable life. Zan Mu tilted his lips into a shallow smile, which was extremely beautiful. End of this chapter. Continuing from the previous episode 902. Shabu shabu. The four of them walked straight into the ancient tree in unison. And as the four stepped into the ancient tree, they immediately headed towards the top of the ancient tree. Don't go, if we follow in, we'll be exposed. Just when Xuan Muqing was about to step into the ancient tree, Mu Shuji took her by the hand and said, "Okay." Xuan Mu had no choice but to do it when he saw this. As for Fen Tian and Zhu Jin, under the cover of Zhu Jin's special formation, whether it was their strength or their figures, it seemed as if they had disappeared. They stood beside Xuan Muqing and the two, waiting for the success of the four of them. This is stairs? The four of Ling Mingsheng had just rushed into the ancient tree, and suddenly found that there was actually a cave inside. Maybe from the outside, this is just a huge ancient tree with roots and stems of hundreds of meters, but at this time inside the ancient tree, the four people know what is here. In front of the four of them, it turned out to be an extremely huge space, and in that space was a scene of spiral staircases paved with countless green leaves. And for some unknown reason, Reimu felt that these tricks should have been specially prepared by the guy at the top of the ancient tree. The inside of this ancient tree should be a closed space. At this time, Tian Lao suddenly spoke. Looking at Tian Lao's opening, Ling Mengsheng also glanced at it. In this huge space of 100 meters, there is nothing else other than these spiral green stairs. This feeling of emptiness made the four of them extremely unhappy. Let's go. Ling Mengsheng is indeed a strong man at the peak of Dou Di. He knew this was a dangerous place, so he took the lead in walking. Boom boom boom. Just as Ling Mengsheng was walking on his feet, a vine with a thick arm suddenly appeared on the green stairs, and then attacked directly at Ling Mengsheng's limbs. Looking at this appearance, it is obvious that he wants to bind Reimu Sheng's limbs, thereby restricting his movements. There are enemies. Since Ling Mengsheng entered the ancient tree, he knew that the four of them would encounter the attack of the guardian in the dark at any time, so Ling Mengsheng was always vigilant, and now he was attacked by this vine. Naturally, it was a clever turnaround, dodging the past directly. Flame Blade. Just after dodging the vine's attack, Reimu Sheng also counterattacked in an instant. On the palm of the hand, the power of life and death instantly appeared, and immediately surrounded the palm, turning into an extremely sharp flame blade. Dong, dong, dong. The next moment, Ling Mengsheng turned around, and the flame blade in his hand slashed directly at the vine. After a while, the vine was chopped in half. What a quick attack. The young man was at the back, and he saw everything that happened before. The vines appeared silently, even without warning. This makes it impossible to guard against. And the seemingly simple attack just now actually contained extremely fierce killing intent. If Reimu Sheng's reaction was a half-beat slower, he would probably be severely injured by the vines with the power of destruction. Have you found anything? Ling Mengsheng had just solved the strange vine, and immediately turned his head and asked the three of them. I'm afraid this space. It's the exclusive space for the person above. At this time, the second old man in the world looked extremely ugly, and then he spoke slowly. If you say that, the guy above should be a genuine fighting immortal strong. Hearing this, Ling Mengsheng did not flinch at all, and even the blood in his body became vaguely hot. Stand up. Once upon a time, Ling Mengsheng was a rare genius in the entire burning incense pavilion. If he hadn't encountered the news of his wife's death and lied about his death, if he hadn't been troubled by this knot in his heart, I'm afraid his strength would have been a real fighting immortal. This knot has plagued Ling Mengsheng's strength for nearly 20 years and has not improved, but even so, he can't suppress Ling Mengsheng's talent, so for this immortal warrior, Ling Mengsheng is naturally eager to try. After all, only fighting is the best way to improve your strength. Then fight him. When the old man heard this, he naturally didn't take a step back. Although Qing Lao's strength is still a long way from the peak of Dou Di, Qing Lao also has confidence, even in the face of Dou Xian's strong. There is some effect, not to mention, there are still Ling Mengsheng and Tiandi Lao. Fighting is never alone. Oh, these little guys still have some strength. Above the canopy of the ancient tree, Dong Zan slowly controlled his strength and then spoke. As for the vine attack that just attacked Ling Mengsheng, it was from Dong Zan's hands. In a way, this ancient tree is Dong Zan's domain. It's just that Dong Zan's strength is only a beginner in Dou Xian, and in the early stage of 1-star Dou Xian, he is far from the ability to form Dou Xian domain, so with the help of some secrets in the ancient tree, he can barely control the inner space of the ancient tree. In this space, Dong Xuan's strength will be infinitely magnified, while the strength of Ling Mengsheng's group will be suppressed. Under the circumstance that the other is growing, Dong Xuan naturally has an absolute chance of winning. Forget it, let's play with you. After Dong Xuan finished speaking, he slowly put away the power in his palm, then glanced at the mother of the fairy Bodhi tree slowly, and walked under the ancient tree. Go! The attack suddenly disappeared. Accompanied by the intermittent attacks, Rao was Ling Mengsheng, and he was in a hurry, but after a while, the four of them discovered that the attack had actually stopped. That breath, it's coming down. Ling Mengsheng suddenly said in a deep voice, with an unusually dignified expression on his cheeks. And following Ray Mengsheng's opening, the two elders of heaven and earth and Qinglao stopped the movements in their hands at the same time, and then slowly looked at a slowly creeping space above the steps of green leaves. Guru, the slowly wriggling space suddenly shattered, and an old man with white hair appeared from inside. Sure enough, Dou Xian. After feeling the unfathomable abyss-like strength of the old man in front of him, Ling Mengsheng smiled slowly, but beneath the smile, there was a hidden killing intent. The old man, Xuan, is enshrined by the royal family. Dong Xuan, responsible for guarding the 6th floor of the underground palace. I don't know why GG came here, why? Dong Xuan seemed to ask knowingly. That's for asking. We came here naturally because we heard that Dong Xuan is very powerful, so we came here to ask for some advice. Ling Mengsheng took over the words and said, in the tone of voice, that terrifying aura is no less than that of a fighting immortal powerhouse. I don't know if your excellency is a person? Dong Xuan is gentle and elegant. After all, his absolute confidence in his own strength will not give Ling Meng an opportunity. Listen to me, the hall master of the burning incense pavilion. Ling Mengsheng. After Ling Mengsheng finished speaking, the heaven-shattering fighting spirits suddenly burst out. Oh, it's actually the person from Burning Incense Pavilion. King Xuan said that if you meet someone in the Fenxiang Pavilion, you will kill without mercy. Dong Xuan's originally indifferent face suddenly showed a chilling meaning. As the two sides are evenly matched, a war is about to break out. End of this chapter. Continuing from the previous episode 903. If that's the case, let's fight. When Ling Mengsheng heard this, he burst into laughter, but he didn't pay attention to Dong Xuan in front of him. Dong Xuan, it is the Xuan royal family who did not know where to pay a high price to invite him to worship, and his strength is only in the early stage of 1-star Dou Xian. Although Ling Mengsheng's strength is only the peak of Dou Di, Dong Xuan alone has not let Ling Mengsheng. Mengsheng 4 people are afraid of the degree. Do you need to take action? Zhu Jin, who was hidden in the formation, felt the strength of Dong Xuan Yixing in the early stage of Dou Xian, who was above the ancient tree, and couldn't help but say something to Fen Tian. With that keen perception, Zhu Jin knew that this guy was a genuine fighting immortal powerhouse. Zhu Jin's current strength is already at the level of a half-immortal. Naturally, he knows that a half-immortal and a fighting immortal are not at the same level, so Zhu Jin said so worriedly. Being not. Even though Dong Xuan's strength is Dou Xian, he is only in the early stage of 1-star Dou Xian, and this battle is the first battle that Ling Mengsheng just got rid of. For him, it is very important. Fen Tian shook his head. But Dong Xuan isn't a vegetarian either. The wood-type vindictiveness, coupled with the fact that this place is a forest, is a rare treasure for him. In this case, they are tantamount to being at a disadvantage. Zhu Jin wondered and worried. No breaking, no standing. Ling Mengsheng has been at the peak of Dou Di for decades. And you forgot, fire also kills wood. After Fen Tian finished speaking, he suddenly laughed. You mean? And as soon as Fen Tian's voice fell, Zhu Jin was also excited. If there is a fighting immortal in their burning incense pavilion, I am afraid it is enough to sweep the super sect. Wait and see. After Fen Tian finished speaking, the two suddenly became quiet, and a war broke out in that ancient tree. Although I don't know the deep hatred between King Xuan and you burning incense pavilion, but I'm just taking people's money and helping them eliminate disasters, so don't blame me when you guys go to *** later. Dong Xuan looked very strange. Looking at Ling Mengsheng 4 people's eyes also became gloomy. Dong Xuan is not from the Xuan continent, so naturally he doesn't know the power of Fenxiang Pavilion, but for King Xuanling's promise to give him a reward for killing a strong Fenxiang Pavilion, Dong Xuan is excited when he thinks about it. And the strength of these 4 powerhouses are all in the 9-star Dou Emperor, and even have stepped into the peak of Dou Emperor. The status of the 4 is definitely not low in the Fenxiang Pavilion, so if you kill the 4, I am afraid you will get the benefits will be. Shoot! Ling Mengsheng also knew that this guy was facing their Fenxiang Pavilion, so he didn't plan to keep his hands, and he was ready to use his ultimate move as soon as he made a move. This is my territory, fall obediently. As soon as Dong Xuan finished speaking, he lifted his palm slightly, and the overwhelming energy immediately turned into a huge tree in the sky, whistling towards Ling Mengsheng. What a tyrannical attack, worthy of being a fighting immortal powerhouse. Ling Mengsheng said a word, and then his hands did not stop, and the dazzling power of life and death gathered in the palm of his hand, and then faced Dong Xuan, who was incarnated as a tree in the sky. Attack away! Boom boom boom! The dazzling power of life and death and Dong Xuan's mysterious power attacked, and the sound of sawdust shattering suddenly sounded in the space of the ancient tree. Little Chinger, buy us some time. The 2 elders of Tiandi also knew that Ling Mengsheng wouldn't last long, and immediately spoke up. Okay. The old man nodded secretly when he heard the words. Looking at the old man as a defense, the 2 elders of heaven and earth also sat cross-legged directly on the green stairs, and immediately put their palms on each other. Good boy, it's interesting. Dong Xuan blinked, and then said to Ling Mengsheng. This guy, his strength is indeed tyrannical. Ling Mengsheng wiped a trace of blood from the corner of his mouth, and then stared vigilantly at Dong Xuan in front of him. Xuan wooden hand. After a while, Dong Xuan launched the attack first. As soon as Dong Xuan finished speaking, a dazzling palm with a size of several tens of meters slowly formed in front of him, and on the wooden hand, there were circles of mysterious runes surrounding it, and its power was obviously extremely terrifying. 3 days of flame palms. Seeing this, Ling Mengsheng took a deep breath, and then the power of life and death instantly flashed. At that time, Ling Mengsheng's entire body shone with the power of life and death intertwined with black and white, and the next moment, the dazzling power of life and death directly formed a black and white palm that was also several dozen meters in size in front of him. The black and white palms just appeared, and suddenly the inner space of the ancient tree vibrated slightly, and Ling Mengsheng knew that this space had a certain degree of suppression for them, otherwise his attack would be at least a few hundred meters in size. An ant is an ant after all. Dong Xuan shook his head slowly. Although Ling Mengsheng's attack seemed to be very powerful, the strength of Dou Di's peak was not enough to make Dong Xuan official. It's time to end. Dong Xuan stood at a height below 0, and pointed lightly at the direction where Ling Mengsheng was. Suddenly, the terrifying killer move around him seemed to pierce the heavens and the earth, directly facing Ling Mengsheng. It's good to come. Seeing Dong Xuan's devastating attack, Ling Mengsheng not only did not retreat, but even took a step forward, and then the dazzling black and white palm suddenly pushed, directly attacking Dong Xuan. Intertwined. Boom boom boom. As soon as the 2 touched, the overwhelming terrorist attacks continued to spread out, and the energy ripples that spread out, I am afraid that the mere 8-star Dou Emperor can be wiped out. As expected of an immortal warrior, Ling Mengsheng kept his eyes fixed on the 2 attacks in midair. After a while, he realized that as expected, his attack was gradually defeated by Dong Xuan's attack. It's taking a blow from me. Ling Mengsheng is indeed a daring person. Watching his attack fall below, he did not hesitate, and he didn't want to wait for his attack to fail before making a move, but the first time get ready to do it. Shabu shabu. The space around Reimu Sheng trembled slightly, and then he disappeared directly in place. Well, Dong Xuan was a little surprised by Ling Mengsheng's sudden scene, but the next moment, he understood. Old dog, go to hell. With an air of arrogance, he appeared directly 3 meters away from Dong Xuan, and this figure was Ling Mengsheng. At this time, Ling Mengsheng, on the palm of his hand, a group of extremely subtle fiery red flames slowly beat like a elf, but don't look at the small flames, but the pressure on Dong Xuan is like death. It's actually Shengyan Jihuo. Dong Xuan felt a dignified feeling in his heart, and then a dazzling black-green aura was slowly born on his body, and finally intertwined with the Shengyan Jihuo controlled by Ling Mengsheng, forming a quite spectacular scenery inside the ancient tree. End of this chapter. Continuing from the previous episode 904. How can this guy have the power of Shengyan Jihuo? Dong Xuan was extremely shocked. Shengyanjihuo was one of the benefits that Xuanling King had promised himself, but watching Ling Mingsheng's whistling attack, he didn't like it. Dare to stay, open his hand directly, the power of fighting immortals emerges, and a dignified expression appears on his face. If the power of Holy Flame is displayed in the hands of a powerhouse of their level, I am afraid it has the power to destroy the world, and even if it is the fire of the Holy Flame, the terrifying power of destruction is far from ordinary things that can be compared of. But this time, the power that appeared in Dou Xian's hands has changed from contempt at the beginning to the present. Obviously, Ling Mingsheng's trace of Saint Yanzi's fire has put too much pressure on Dou Xian, so Dou Xian has to solemnly treat it up. This guy has even used the power of fighting immortals. I'm afraid he is also afraid of Saint Yanziwo of Ling Mingsheng. However, Pavilion Master, when did Ling Mingsheng own the fire of Shengyanzi? Why don't you even know me? Zhu Jin laughed. I had it a long time ago, but he never used it. Fen Tian smiled. With the increase of Shengyanjihuo, I am afraid that Ling Mingsheng really has the power to fight against Dou Xian. Boom boom boom. There were no other fluctuations on Ling Mingsheng's palm. Some were just the fiery red Saint Yanzi fire directly wrapping his fist, and then out of instinct, Ling Mingsheng swiped heavily in front of him and hit him directly. Dou Xian's body. At the same time, Dou Xian also knew that this holy flame was no child's play, so he didn't dare to neglect, put away his previous contempt, and used the power of fighting immortals directly, forming extremely dazzling rays of light in front of his body. Protect yourself in it. Dou strong people have the power of life in their bodies. After the power of death is born, and after the power of life and death is integrated and intertwined, they will step into the realm of the 9-turn 9-star Dou. As for fighting immortals, the power of life and death in the body has already been transformed into the power of fighting immortals, which is even more terrifying than the power of life and death. The power of fighting immortals, compared to the power of life and death, is tantamount to being too powerful. Boom boom boom. When Ling Mingsheng's fist attacked Dou Xian, it happened to be blocked by the power of fighting immortals on his silver robe. It's just that everyone found that there was a very strong defense on top of the silver robe. Rao is so, under Ling Mingsheng's fearful attack, the solid defense is like glass, and there is a faint sound of shattering. Damn, the power of fighting immortals is really tyrannical. Looking at the dark green light of the silver robe on Dou Xian's body, Ling Mingsheng immediately stopped and hurried back, and said something secretly. Although the power of Holy Flame is powerful, the power of fighting immortals is also well-deserved. I have to say, you are very strong. But I'm very curious, how can you have a Holy Flame? Dou Xian seemed to take Ling Mingsheng's attack casually, but it was not. The blow just now was enough to seriously injure yourself. Watching Ling Mingsheng leave, Dou Xian spoke slowly, with a rare calmness in his voice. It seems that the strength of Dou's peak is still a little reluctant to challenge the real Dou Xian powerhouse. Seeing this, Ling Mingsheng smiled slightly. It seemed that Dou Xian had the upper hand in the attack just now, but Ling Mingsheng also knew that Dou Xian should not feel well when he received his own attack, but at this time Ling Mingsheng had just attacked Dou Xian's fist, and the blood slowly flowed out. Obviously, it is not that simple to be able to get close to breaking that layer of defense. Why don't you hand over your holy flame to me? I'll guarantee you won't die. How about that? A glint of greed flashed in Dou Xian's pupils, and he opened his mouth slightly, staring at Ling Mingsheng's eyes also becoming hot. If he can get a trace of Saint Yanzi fire, he will have absolute confidence to break through the initial stage of 1-star Dou Xian. Even the Xuanling royal family will be a little polite to him. After all, the gap between each level of Dou Xian is like a gulf. Not so good. If you want the holy flame in my body, you should take care of yourself first. After Ling Mingsheng finished speaking, he flickered and walked towards the bottom of the ancient tree. It's stubborn. Dou Xian snorted coldly without turning his head. But the next moment, Dou Xian's perception clearly felt an extremely huge power from under the ancient tree. In that power, with the power of a very tyrannical seal, even the strength of his own dignified fighting immortal felt a scalp. Tingling. When did these immortals come up with this kind of thing? Dou Xian had just been entangled by Ling Mingsheng, so he naturally forgot that there were 4 of them, not one of Ling Mingsheng. When now realizing that something was bad, the other 3 also appeared in Dou Xian's line of sight. Dong Xuan saw that Ling Mengsheng returned to the side of the three, and one of the three was weak, but among the three, 2 old men were sitting on the ground, and there was a dazzling power of life and death on the 2 old men. Slowly blended, and then some golden energy was born, and the golden energy was like an awakened dragon, with an imposing momentum. Not good. It's actually a combination of fighting skills? The next moment, Dong Xuan's expression became very strange. Dong Xuan clearly knew that if the golden energy on the 2 of them was born, he would probably have it too. He didn't dare to hesitate, his palm suddenly raised, and a black-green Dou Xian was enough to kill the 4 people below. The power appeared, and then the figure flashed, and roared away at the 4 people below. With the birth of such a terrifying attack by Dong Xuan, Ling Mengsheng and Qinglao below both felt an extremely powerful pressure, and immediately looked at each other. They were just about to stop the attack, but they were stopped by the 2 elders in front of them. Let's see. The weak information of the second old man of heaven and earth passed into Ling Mengsheng and Qinglao's ears, and before the 2 could react, the dazzling golden energy on the second old man of that day actually materialized. Under the control of Dong Xuan, who was directly facing the roaring Dong Xuan. Shabu Shabu, damn bastard, go to hell, Xuan bone-shattering palm. Dong Xuan came dozens of meters in front of Tiandi or Alao immediately. The terrifying offensive force on the palm of his hand increased sharply, and a murderous intent emerged in his pupils. With one palm, the immortal fighting power that instantly annihilated the trees, caused the space to riot slightly in the ancient trees. Golden Bell, Heavenly King Feng. Facing Dong Xuan's powerful attack, the 2 elders of the world didn't look shocked, and then let out a slow roar. And as the roar of the second old man of heaven and earth came out, the golden energy that emerged from the fusion of life and death from the second old man suddenly turned into a huge golden ancient bell at a speed visible to the naked eye. On the golden ancient clock, mysterious golden runes are constantly surrounded, full of mystery. The golden ancient bell just appeared, and the space that had been attacked by Dong Xuan and caused a riot was quieted down. The next moment, the golden giant bell shrouded Dong Xuan directly. Golden Bell, Heavenly King Seal. Suppress me. The 2 elders of heaven and earth couldn't help but shouted loudly. Immediately, from the golden ancient bell, the power of seal suppression continued to spread out, and then directly confronted Dong Xuan. Xuan bone-shattering hand. Break it to me. Dong Xuan's expression also showed a hint of madness. At this point, if either of the 2 of them takes a half step back, they will immediately be corroded by this powerful attack, so. Better yet, let go. At this moment, in the inner space of the ancient tree, a golden ancient bell and a huge black-green palm are deadlocked. End of this chapter.